All right, so guys, we're here with I'm here to debate the best the best One Piece TikToker on various
Hey,
topics.
hey, man, you said it out there.
My guy, iconic Mav, how you doing,
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. Doing all right.
bro?
Cool night.
Yeah, long time coming. I came across your stuff on Twitter, and it was polarizing, to be honest, because people like had people that like agreed, was like, damn, this is it. This is I'm taking this as canon when you talk about the Kaido awakening stuff, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah,
you had other people who's like, ah, this nigga don't know what he talking about. That's them TikTokers for you, you know.
yeah. Hey, that,
You know what I'm saying? So you had those, but I was like, no, I definitely appreciated the research and just how you connected the dots with that. And off of that, I was like, yo, I definitely got to have a conversation with Mav. So I appreciate you making the time out to talk to me today, bro. In the One Piece world and in our own world, everyone has dreams, and for some of those dreams, influence matters. I mean, what would Big News Morgans have to do all day if no one checked into his newspapers? And with today's sponsor, Squarespace, you can create a powerful and beautiful online platform to do just that. Connect with your audience and generate revenue through gated, members-only content. Create a community on your Squarespace website with a fully integrated commenting system that supports threaded comments, replies, and likes. These new third-party tools can help you manage inventory, promote products, streamline bookkeeping, reconcile and file sales tax, and ship items across the globe. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/B.D.A law to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
I appreciate you having me. I appreciate you having me. And the funny thing is, man, I don't have a Twitter, but
Right.
if anything, the TikTok comments gonna let me know wherever I'm at. If I'm on Tumblr, they like, "Ah, you on Tumblr?"
Oh, that's crazy. Man, that's dope though. You got you like your audience, you know what I'm saying, keeping you informed. But nah, I mean, gotta get that Twitter though, man. You gotta get that Twitter. Because Twitter is kind of like at first I didn't like it. But it's kind of how I stay kind of in contact with like other creators and just it's so much shit you see on Twitter. But you know what I'm saying. But I guess with One Piece or just anime in general, like where was your start? When did you start with One Piece or just other things?
I can remember back in the day when I used to, me and my cousin used to have competitions, see who could stay up the longest. So I used to watch Cartoon Network, change to Adult Swim, change to Toonami, and
Yeah,
back then I used to watch OG Naruto.
yeah.
Bleach was my favorite, and I remember I heard the pitch of One Piece, and it was just like this rubber pirate that stretches, and I was like, man, that sounds dumb.
Sounds lame. Sounds lame.
Sounds. And then I one day after running through like 12 episode series, 24 episode
Yeah,
series
yeah.
anime, I was like,
You
what?
get to a point you want something longer commitment, right? You're like, man, I just need something else. Like I want something I can watch for a minute. And
Oh yeah,
you see, when did you start? Like when, from One Piece, where was it at?
I'd want to say 2014, 2015 is around the time I started. 2014, 2015, because I didn't really have a phone like that, so I couldn't
Yeah,
really watch it on demand. You know what I'm saying? Around that time is when I got my cell phone, and
yeah,
you know, my friend was putting me on, and he's like, "Man, check out this site. You can watch it. You can watch something." And I'm like, "All right,
yeah.
still." I used to have to watch it on Toonami, watch reruns and stuff like that.
2015. All right, let me think back real quick. 2015. That should be. We should have been wrapping up Dressrosa, going into Zoe. Is
Right,
that
right,
right? Is that around
right.
the area?
I want to
Okay.
say because I didn't catch up. That's the thing. That's when I started. When I caught
Okay.
up, I
Okay.
I caught up all the way to who? When did I catch up? I eventually caught up around Wano,
Okay.
where I caught up, and then I just started reading. Actually, me and my friend, we were watching episode. It was whole cake. It was whole cake.
Mhm.
I remember. You remember those stupid fan arts for Snake Man, like the
Yes.
one where
Yes.
Luffy's legs is
Cause we
all on the
had
ground.
like we had like a little break before Snake Man. It was like a 2 week break or something like that. So the fan arts went stupid before Snake Man got revealed. It was it was
Yeah.
insane.
You know what's funny? There was only one really bad one that I was like, "Yo, what were you thinking when you drew it?" But
Is
the
it
other,
the one when he was like an actual snake and his belly's on the ground and shit
yeah,
like
his
that?
belly's on. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I was
It's
like,
so bad.
I
It
was
is.
like, drop the show if this is it.
It's so terrible. It was so bad. It was like I said, even back in the day, they had a bunch of things. A bunch of fan art about Luffy's different gears. Because there's other like theorists in the YouTube community that had what did they talk about? They talked about different things with rubber that would make it harder. All this different like
Right,
technical
right.
shit, right?
Vulcanization.
Vulcanization, that's what it is. That's what it was. Vulcanization, all this different shit. It was just like, it was exciting, especially back then when they started. That's when I kind of got into the community, 2015, 2016. So at that time, it was like, man, I'm like so intrigued by all these theories, right? Like, I just want to watch as many theories as possible because for a long time, I didn't have anybody to talk to One Piece about, right?
Oh,
So,
that was the hardest part. People
yeah.
don't realize. And like a year ago, 2 years ago, One Piece was not this famous, man. I could not talk to anybody about One Piece, but I found that one friend in high school, man.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, check out the manga. Like the Snake Man is out." I'm like, "Snake Man? What are you talking about?" That thing came out, and I was like, "This transformation is crazy, man."
Nah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
7-Eleven pizza is just like watch like the new episodes when they drop.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a thing where like I said, One Piece for a long time was the little brother to Bleach and Naruto. And you kind of had to, when you talk about One Piece, be like, yo, you watch One Piece? Nah, I watch Naruto though. I watch Bleach. Like niggas wasn't really watching One Piece like that. And so I was debating niggas in the comment section of like AMVs and different clips people upload on YouTube. So I go in there and I be in like have threads of people talking. And I was like, bro, like I gotta talk about this, bro. I gotta just share my thoughts. I don't care if niggas shit on it, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta talk about it, bro.
Somebody go hear me.
Yeah, so I was talking to myself, G. I was like, I gotta get this out, bro. This shit was driving me crazy. And I finally did it, man. Booted up my old Dell computer with a trash ass webcam, and I think the chapter was 796 or 796 or 794. No, I think it was 794 or 793, something like that.
The Doflamingo fight, yeah.
Right. The end of the Doflamingo fight, right before 795, where Kaido drops out of the sky, right? So like that was right before that point was when I first started, and it was just like. The crazy part wasn't like a lot of engagement initially, but it was just so refreshing to just talk about something. And I remember just how cool it was when I finally started getting likes and comments. I get 2 comments. I'm like, yo, career high, we go crazy. Right? We go crazy. And then it was kind of like, okay, I kind of building a community of people just talking about stuff. And eventually started a Discord. We started going crazy in Discord. But then it's just like, before we knew it, we just had a bunch of people to talk to One Piece about. It was like just amazing. You know what I'm saying? But I guess for you and creating your TikTok account, when did you feel the need to make that? And what were you talking about at first? You said you weren't talking about One Piece at first, right?
Man, as a long time One Piece fan, I watched a lot of anime, a lot, and just the discourse around One Piece was really, really, really disrespectful.
Yes, it was.
It's just terrible. The story's long. It's unnecessary. Too many episodes. Luffy's dumb.
Yeah.
They underrate his character and just a whole lot of slander. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I dabbled in the little back and forth between One Piece and Naruto. You know what I'm saying? They say things like, "Oh, Sage Mode Naruto can beat Luffy," and they'd say like that's like Gear 4th Battle Man and all. And I was like, yeah I don't know.
So you'd get petty with them.
Oh yeah. Hey, what's funny about you saying that is once a couple of my theories come out that people were talking about was crazy.
Yeah.
My guys know that I'm already gonna change my name to Petty Math. It's not gonna be Iconic Math. It's gonna be Petty Math.
I'm not mad at it. I mean, sometimes it can be like I think I used to get a lot more petty back in the day when I get annoyed about things. I think now it's just okay. I just gotta let it roll off my shoulder because I realize I can't convince everybody, right? Where it's just like certain things, even certain people that even when you prove them like just wrong, like you're just dead wrong, it's still but and so it's just
when someone's talking to defend and not to listen, I'm like those are light skills, man. Sometimes
it gets to the point where I'm just like, all right, bro, you got it, bro. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But nah, I guess so you say you got caught up in Wano. I'm not sure how the perception of Wano was on TikTok, but Wano is very it's a lot of different opinions on Wano. in the YouTube, even Twitter space. So, how did you feel about Wano in general? And I guess the community on TikTok, how did they react to Wano's ending?
No. So long story short, a lot of people thought that Kaido was, you know what I'm saying? He was dumb. He was a letdown, mostly because that statement of how's Luffy gonna be Kaido? He's just like, well, people won't be satisfied with another big punch. Well, Oda was right, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. People were not satisfied with the punch.
You were not satisfied. But man, I kind of looked at it. I felt like that for a little bit, and then I looked past the fact that we were looking for Kaido to be this big macho man to prove that he's the strongest. When Kaido knew he was the strongest, that position was bestowed upon him, but it's not something that he wanted. It was something that he just inherited. He was looking for his own downfall from the beginning. That's why he fights in such a suicidal manner. He fights in a hit me, I'll take this, I'll take that head on. And you can see that he was dealing with internal, problems. He didn't want his position. That's why he was depressed and he was drinking and he was this and he was that. He always saw himself as a failure, and he always looked for the day for Joy Boy to defeat him. So that's why it's kind of interesting that when Kaido's introduced, he's introduced falling. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a story between the koi fish that became a dragon, which are two mythologies that you put together that you can see Oda crafted.
Yeah.
And then we see Momonosuke, who is just like his counterpart, like this little guy that has to take on a big position and he has to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to watch him come from that little guppy to get aged up by Shinobu and to literally rise and become that huge dragon to ascend to Onigashima, rise to the occasion.
Momo has one of the best character arcs in the story, if not the
man. Momonosuke is crazy.
Yeah.
And then we watch Kaido get defeated. And he's falling parallel to the waterfall. You know what I'm saying? Like he's descending. And then we see the powerful when Momonosuke is like, he's like, oh no, Yamato, don't fight. We have to be the one to protect Wano. You know what I'm saying? We have to, his whole thing is about him just
living
just
up. Yeah. And it's so crazy, right? That you had the parallel as well with Momonosuke and Yamato, where Yamato wanted to be like Odin and Momonosuke, he looked like Kaido, right? And so it's just all these different things that Oda threw in there where it gave you a bunch of different emotions. And of course, I agree. Sometimes we kind of hyper focus too much on like one thing. Where it's like Oda said it wasn't gonna be a punch. It was like it was a punch. So all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I don't know about Wano, right? But even I guess in the midst of that, initially upon seeing that the end of the Kaido fight, there was a part of me that expected a bit more, right? Considering that because we remember Kaido's flashback. I'm not sure if you ever seen that meme of Kaido in his flashback. It was like, I was a little nigga, then I was a medium nigga, now I'm a big nigga, and that's basically Kaido's flashback. And so, at this point, I guess a lot of people were expecting, okay, Oda's gonna flesh it out now. Oda, after a character gets like defeated or they're about to be defeated, he kind of goes into some flashback and just gives us more of them. And so, at that point, I think initially I was like, damn, that's it for real. But then the more you thought about it, the more it's like, well, obviously, the reason why Oda's holding back is because Kaido's backstory is tied so much into rocks. Right? And everything going on with that. So it's like, it's going to come back. And the only stuff that Kaido's hinted towards and the reason why Yamato doesn't know anything, it's like all that's going to come back at some point, which honestly could elevate Wano. But for right now, it feels a bit empty in regards to Kaido, even though I think Kaido had the chops and the potential to be easily the best antagonist in the story.
Oh, easily, man. Because I think the internal strife depicted by him was very beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, if you, he's always been on top. As a child, he was given to the Marines. He would break out of the Marines. The only time he'd get captured is when he's hungry.
Yep.
He
chose to get captured.
Yeah, he joined the Rocks Pirates. The Rocks are unstoppable. They got Kaido.
Yeah.
Kaido. It's just like he's always been that guy.
Yeah.
It's hard to rise to an occasion when you're already at the finish line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's hard for him to awaken his devil fruit, which is why, like, when I talk about Luffy and things like that, a lot of people don't realize that Luffy didn't just awaken his devil fruit like as an asshole. Like, it's due to the creativity and the strife that he went through in actually meeting the conditions of being the liberator. He liberates people time and time and time again.
Yeah.
Notice how he had his devil fruit for 10 whole years training it, but didn't. It's not just having it, it's meeting these conditions and things like that. So Kaido wasn't capable of meeting these conditions. And I think the same goes for Marco, honestly. I think the same.
You don't think Marco's awakened?
I don't think he's awakened.
Ah,
Think
okay.
about
What
it.
do you think the conditions would be for Marco to be awakened?
The condition for Marco, in my opinion, is he's a phoenix, right? They're known for resurrection and life after
Death, you
death.
think?
Yes, resurrection and life after death, right?
Right.
Being on the Whitebeard Pirates, they had little to no competition, strife, um, the understandings of life after death and things like that. These are concepts that are beyond him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're understanding, we're watching him adjust to life after Ace, life after Whitebeard. We watch him beat himself up in terms of like protecting the land that Whitebeard left behind. And when he goes to Wano, he's actually um, deep in thought while he's fighting King and Queen,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about Ace, thinking about Whitebeard. And he even sheds a tear as he throws like Zoro up to the rooftop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's growing and he's losing Ezo and stuff like that. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? He lost Ezo too. So he's learning life after death. When you Google it, it's just like life after death. It's resurrection, other things like that. It's hard to meet these conditions when you're baby proof. He was baby proofed on Whitebeard ship. Who was a threat to Whitebeard other than Roger? Maybe the admirals if they came after him.
And then at that
White,
point, in this One Piece world that it was a stalemate. So nobody, no Yonko really interacting with each other. That's the part. Marco just met King.
right. Exactly how Blackbeard chose to be on Whitebeard's ship because
Yeah.
that would be playing. It'd be playing on easy mode.
Yeah. You understand? I'm under the strongest man in the world. And then again, One Piece that I talk to people about it all the time. It's like One Piece. A lot of it is about just perception versus reality, right? And how you can warp that. And for Whitebeard, we at that point we know Whitebeard was, you can say, a shell of himself, right? And he was at a point where it's like he can't fight at his peak or even close to it on a consistent basis. However, that's not what people remember of him. People remember this monster that could destroy the world. And, you know, that's why even when people are showing up, he's like, nah, I don't want all these things on me. I don't want people to see me like this because just like, that doesn't give off like I'm still that guy, you know? And so, you know, with the perception versus reality thing, I think with most characters, that's how Oda kind of frames things when you think about it. It's like what people perceive this character to be and what they actually are. That's why I have like crazy thoughts about Rocks and how I feel like he's actually going to be a pretty decent guy because of, you know, the when you think about the people that we've heard talk about Rocks, I don't know if they're going to look at Rocks favorably because, you know, it's Garp and Goku for the most part, right? And so it's just like those guys are not going to look at Rocks as this, you know, pretty decent guy. So that's always something I agree with like just how things are framed. Going to it, don't expect what Oda's laid out initially because it's going to be something completely different. Like even with Big Mom, before we got there, it seemed like Big Mom had this organized network, right? Like everything was pinpoint. She had her eyes on everything. Like we get to Whole Cake Island, she's destroying her island. Like she's wreaking havoc. You know what I mean? And so it's just when you think about things, think about like how we perceive Shanks now, right? And there's people that think Shanks is evil. People still think that. There's some people that think that, you know, Shanks is just waiting for Luffy. And there's so many perceptions of him. And think about when Oda sometimes has someone talk about Shanks and how they have him look a lot more menacing than we're used to seeing him, right? So it's just, I think that's like a brilliant thing that Oda always throws in, just to kind of throw off the fan base, but also make things a bit more interesting. So once we finally meet the character, it's like, oh shit, this is a lot more different than I expected, you know?
It's supposed to be the era of the pipe. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What a lot of people don't understand, especially when you're catching up to the story, is that a lot of people say things like, oh, the story of One Piece is repetitive because he's just going to island, fighting the bad guy, freeing the people. What you don't understand is put in our faces very, very early that the government is oppressive and neglectful, right? With Captain Morgan, first arc, that man is just oppressing people. Even the Marines don't want it, right? Then we see Arlong, where Arlong is paying the Marines to just basically look the other way.
He's working with Nezumi, the rat. They knew about it. Arlong was almost like an unofficial warlord, damn near.
Oh yeah,
low key, like you know what I'm saying, like that, like he was doing, and they knew what was going on. At least Nezumi knew, and it's like they were letting it happen because it's like, hey, you know, he can help us out. So that's
and it's like in that same regard, you even have like, oh, the whole thing with Alabasta. Oh, Smoker, you're the hero. Smoker, I didn't do anything. I don't want the credit. It's like you did it. You did it. You know what I'm saying? They want the picture how they want to paint the picture. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So it's just, it is going to be what it is. You can't trust the news. You got to trust like what we see. I'm pretty sure people are scared of Luffy. For what they're.
Exactly. I'm sure they think of Luffy. They think of this menacing, just guy. Because, bro, Luffy went in to Impel Down. He went to Marineford. He went to Whole Cake Island. He went to Wano. They're like, yo, who is this guy?
Who is this guy running these numbers up?
And also, think about his lineage, right? And that could cause some conflict in people, too, because he's the grandson of Garp, but he's a son of Dragon.
The revolutionary.
Right? But then think about his brothers.
Abo and Ace. That man's connections don't stop.
Right? And then trained by whom? Right?
The Dark King is friends with Shanks.
Yeah, like it's just insane. If I'm in the One Piece world, bro, and I hear about this, I'm like, who is this guy, bro? This guy is legendary because that's why the girls say they blow me so much sometimes, because it's like, bro, Luffy, again, grandson of Garp, son of Dragon, buddies with Shanks, brothers Sabo and Ace, trained by Rayleigh, and then we get to Wano, we hear about the Gomu Gomu no Mi and the theory, or at least the legend of the Nika fruit, right? And it's like, oh, it's rubber, da 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 da. And it was like, bro, at what point did y'all like look at Luffy and everything he was doing, and it didn't hit y'all?
You're right. You know what I'm saying? I talked to some of my mutuals at first, you know what I'm saying? Like, the whole Gear second thing, how Luffy thought of it didn't make sense. The whole bone blowing into it and the arm getting bigger doesn't make sense. You know, whole Snake Man, what's he doing? Rubber can't do this. They're letting you know.
Yeah, there's not just some rubber shit. There's like more to it.
And then everyone's just like, oh, the sun god Nika, that's an asshole. Oh, the retcon, the gum fruit.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's be honest here.
Yeah.
You think Shanks was just walking around with a B tier fruit? You think that the red hair Shanks, everything we know from this guy, he purposely robbed a government officialship for a B tier, just a rubber devil fruit?
It was something to it. There's a lot more to it. Like it's crazy because I think Shanks kind of holds the reins at this point. I feel like once we get a conversation with him as far as his true intentions, what he was trying to do, is gonna be illuminating as far as what was going on in the One Piece world, what has been going on, and what his purpose is. Because he's just so interesting. And bro, considering how long One Piece has been going on, over 2 decades, and what we know about Shanks, it's asinine, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for Mihawk to use a named attack. I can't wait to get out there, man. There are so many agendas. The thing to love about One Piece is you have a character that you love, and they're going to get some type of shine, right? I'm telling you right now, if there's anything that's going to break the internet for One Piece fans, it's when Bone Clay gets released, or he breaks out, or he just shows up on screen. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah.
That's like the One Piece review level.
I think with One Piece fans, we all have our characters that we root for. Even, like, sometimes you can try to not have bias. That's why when I make top 30s and shit like that, I'm like, I let niggas know, like, bro, it's bias here. Like, but I mean, every list inherently has bias because it's your fucking list, right? But like for certain characters that you have, that you view a bit differently, that you're gonna look at a bit more favorably than others. Right. And full disclaimer, Mav is a Mihawk guy. Yeah. I'm technically a Shanks guy because I think Shanks is stronger than Mihawk, but I respect Mihawk. And I respect him a lot more than I did 2 or 3 years ago. I'll say that. Because in the top 30 list that I used to make, because I've been making them since 2015, I'd have Mihawk probably, I would say from 2015 to 2018 or so, I would have him probably like 11 or 12, right?
That's kind of crazy because he's right behind. Like, okay, so even if you had Shanks or Mihawk, they're right next to each other. So it's kind of like you can't have them too far off. Kind of like
I think Marineford skews a lot of people though.
Here's my it's really weird how Oda made him give like the effort towards Luffy, but he wasn't really, in my honest opinion.
He wasn't trying.
There's a level to One Piece, you know what I'm saying?
It's like now we know there's no way Mihawk was trying.
There's no way he
No
was
way.
trying.
There's
You
no
know?
there's no conceivable way that Luffy, with Mihawk's perceived observation haki and strength and just haki in general, would be able to get away from someone like Mihawk.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to get away
No
from me.
shot. Right?
He
Like,
was
cause
he was
think
just testing to see if it was Luffy's skill and power that
right.
that sh-
You
like
know what I'm saying, bro? Think about Luffy in Marineford, right? And he was getting tagged by Smoker, right? That's where Luffy was,
right. He was getting hit with smoke. You
right?
know,
And
Mihawk is
think about now where we see Luffy, and I think Mihawk is still beyond where Luffy is now,
yes, yes.
right?
Listen, I tell people this all the time. I tell people this all the time. When I want them to understand how strong Mihawk is, I'm like, do you think that Zoro can beat Mihawk right now? And they're just like, no. And I'm like, okay, so he's above every first commander.
Yes,
He's above them. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
He's already there. This is what Zoro's doing without a black blade. He's cutting through hockey. He's cutting through armament hockey. He's ripping through the Lunarians. You know what I'm saying? Like King got to the point where even with his flame on, he was dodging and trying to deflect Zoro's attacks.
mm-hmm.
So when Zoro just hit him with a big one, that's it. But he still doesn't have the black blade. This mystery,
Right.
this black still ain't got it.
Yeah,
You know, even Odin didn't have it.
yes, he did not.
You know,
It's so,
and
Black Blaze is a tough conversation to have in One Piece. It's so tough because the greatest doesn't have it. Because personally, right, in an all-time list, I got Whitebeard as 1, Roger's 1B.
Right.
Like Whitebeard 1A, Roger 1B, or 1-2, right? And those two legends didn't have black blades.
right.
And then you
How-
have someone like Shanks or Shiki, no black blade. And so that's where it gets into like a very, very interesting and tough conversation with Mihawk fans, because they're like, well, if Mihawk, because Mihawk and Ryuma, right, the two people that we know that have black blades, are they the two strongest people in history? Because we know how Oda respects swordsmen in the One Piece world, people that use blades at least. Those two people unlocked black blades. With the little or limited information we know, that's what Mihawk fans say, is like we should look at Mihawk as not only stronger than Shanks, but one of the strongest people like ever. I don't know, how do you view that?
My whole thing is, this is definitely a feat that people have to consider. That like there is a rarity. You know what I'm saying? Like after some time, you start to see what skills are rare. Conqueror's coding, we don't see that a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty rare.
Future sight,
Rare.
we don't see that. You know. And then we get into the black blaze, and we get into the rare of the rare. We're like, yo,
Two people.
he doesn't have this. This doesn't have this. You know what I'm saying? And I also don't know if you know about the whole like reveal of Shanks's epiphyth. Do you know what that is?
What?
Yeah, Shanks, the observation killer.
Oh yeah. The
So
4
here's
billion.
my
Yeah.
when you read Mihawk's Beaver card, they state that he was originally supposed to be named the Clairvoyant,
Yeah.
right? And you see that his eyes are distinct. We start seeing these eyes a little bit more common. Even Caribou has them, and then Caribou says, "I need to report back to this person." You know what I'm saying? Emu has them.
Yeah.
Cap, you know, whatever.
And
Here's
even
my-
something as well. Mihawk Seraphim still has just regular eyes.
Right. I think there's something special to him, right? Because for Shanks to be the observation killer and Mihawk having like this,
Yeah.
I think
he
that
had to develop that to probably like compete with Mihawk.
exactly, and I think that that's or no, Mihawk had that as like a teenager when Roger was executed.
Mm-hmm.
He had those then too.
Yeah.
So I think that through his battles, or he already had it in the first place, right? But to give Mihawk a really good fight, you have to nerf whatever absurd observation, because there's this idea that when Mihawk and the reverie was still in session and he was at his island and he was like, there was an interesting topic brought up. Some people said, they're like, oh, he had the newspaper. But then you notice that the reverie is still in session. Like they haven't released information.
So you
on
think
it.
he could hear or perceive what was going on from?
Listen.
Oh my God.
That's what a lot of people are thinking, right? Now here's the thing, right? They also highlight Mihawk's eyes. When they address him, they don't address him as Mihawk. You don't address him as this. They say Hawkeyes. Even Shanks. Everybody calls him Hawkeyes. So there's this gravitation to his eyes, right? Now, here's my whole thing where I think that Zoro's gonna come into play, right? The Mihawk is looking for a sword master to surpass his rival Shanks, right?
Yeah.
What is the most clear way to surpass somebody? If Shanks has the power to cancel observation, then Zoro has to be able to beat him even with the observation. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is where Shiryu comes in, because to me, Shiryu is just a walking buff, right? So I believe that Shiryu, not only can he turn invisible, but he can hide his presence, right?
I agree with that.
So what's gonna come full circle is Zoro's observation or whatever skill he has to develop is going to come full circle with the whole. He's going to learn to cut nothing with his training. He's going to learn to cut nothing. Literally, that's going to be Shiryu. That's going to be like the last step that he needs before he fights Mihawk. So he's going to have to use whatever skill he develops to face that absurd observation hockey, is my opinion. And that's how he get the indefinite title of strongest in the world, or at least over Shanks. I think that's the most obvious portion, because if Shanks nerfs this observation, then Zoro has to let it ride. Like, hey, at your peak, I'm going to beat you. And we know for a fact I surpass Shanks or whatever. Blah, 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 blah.
I like that perspective. I like that perspective. Because with this scenario, even with Zoro surpassing Mihawk by nerfing, okay, this brings up interesting scenario. Zoro does this by beating Mihawk, right? While not nerfing his clairvoyance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that by proxy then mean Zoro is stronger than Prime Shanks?
Yes, because the whole point is supposed to be the direction of surpassing Shanks. He's supposed to be a sword master that surpassed Shanks. That's a proxy of that. The old generation is supposed to surpass the last anyway. And if Mihawk's or Shanks' whole thing is, fighting with the sword, which we haven't seen anything else, you know what I'm saying? There's this long running meme between me and my mutuals, and we're just saying that, like, oh, Mihawk is the strongest swordsman, but that's if they're fighting with swords. But if they're using hockey, he's the hockey man. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody gives Shanks the hockey man, right? Yeah. I believe the reason that Shanks was able to pull up on Akainu was he killed his observation in the first place, right? And got in there. Intercepted the attack, still strong, whatever, yada, 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 right?
Yeah.
But my whole thing is, if Mihawk and Shanks were fighting equally with two arms, do we not see the one arm as a nerf? And a lot of people argue like, oh, Shanks got stronger. He got stronger.
For sure.
I don't think that it's in the facet that we think, right? Because to acquire power for the Yonko, it's not only strength. Because anytime they require or they link back to Shanks' strength, they relate him to Mihawk. His duels with Mihawk. Oh, he fought the strongest swordman. That is his claim to fame and strength, right?
Yeah, I think it's confirmed that Mihawk was famous before Shanks was. So Shanks challenged Mihawk, and because he was able to hang, he, by then association, got famous.
Exactly, right? And then they said that he rose to the power to rival Whitebeard, right? And a lot of people like to say, like, oh, that means he equals Whitebeard. Nah, I don't think so.
Not necessarily.
I don't think so. I think, if anything, there's multiple things that come into being an emperor. Mihawk was never interested in being an emperor. There's territory, there is maneuvering, there are connections. Somehow this man Shanks can meet with the Gorosei. Somehow this man is he's like this proxy. He's like this middleman that always tries to stop stuff. He shows up when he needs to. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, even when I read the Ace Light novel, when they gave out everybody's titles, they were like Kaido, the invincible creature, the strongest. They said out of the Yonko, he's likely the strongest. Always like to bet on him in 1v1.
Yep.
Whitebeard is the strongest way of life of a pirate. So which means that he the territories, recruiting people, large fleets.
He had the legacy, the legacy tax,
And then Big Mom was more looked at like a mafia boss. She became landlubber, you know what I'm saying? She's acquiring power, you know what I'm saying? That's why her commanders are so impressive. Oh, I could talk about the sweet commanders, man. And
we definitely got to talk about the sweet commanders for sure.
For Shanks's description, they say that he's hard to pin down. So if anything, a lot of people look at Shanks like Superman. Oh, I'm slamming anybody in the verse. When they need to start looking at this man as like Batman. This man,
he's a Superman
that he needs. He has the power that he needs, but the way that he is maneuvering is his true strongest power. That's his true strength. You know what I'm saying? He's concealing his presence. It's so interesting that they gave him the title of the observation killer.
Yeah.
And nobody can really pin this man down. They don't know what he's doing. They don't know what he's about. But somehow Mihawk can always find him.
Mihawk found him.
Mihawk can find him. You know what I'm saying?
Ace did find him too.
Yeah, Ace found him too.
Here's the thing with Shanks It's always difficult with Shanks and Mihawk because it always goes back to the swordsman thing where Shanks is a swordsman, Mihawk's a swordsman. I think he's stronger. And I think for us as content creators, we always get into the technicalities of what it is, right? And I've seen a wave a lot more today than before, even before like the cross guild stuff, of people having Mihawk over Shanks, looking at hey, he's a swordsman, he's stronger.
Right.
And I think sometimes I try to take a step back out of just like removing all my, quote unquote, power scaling logic and looking at what does Oda want us to believe.
Right.
And I think based off how Oda positions the story, how he somewhat gives us little bits of information, sometimes he tries to, I guess with Mihawk and Shanks, it's like, yeah, Shanks is the strongest with the blade, or he's even stronger with the blade more than Shanks, right? Like it's like different qualifiers with Mihawk and Shanks, where it's like, it's almost like if sometimes he wants to play with you and he wants you to think, hey, he wants you to respect Mihawk's title and who Mihawk is, but it's almost like if he wants you to believe that Shanks is the All-Father, right? Like he wants you to like, bro, he had Shanks pull up to Wano for promo. Right. And let me ask you, how did you feel about what Shanks did to Greenbull?
That's a scary feat, you know. It's a scary feat, you know. But
bro, I did not listen in the YouTube community. I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm the only Admiral guy, right? Or one of the few Admiral people, right? So, and it's always crazy because I try to tell people I like the Admirals because they make things more interesting, right? Every time the Admirals are involved, they make things interesting. If it's just pirates just walking all over everybody, that's not interesting. So I'm always rooting for the Admirals to be better than people think because it makes for great story. So
perfect.
Either way, I'm known as the Admiral guy. So when Greenbull showed up in Body King and Queen, I was on the moon, right? You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, we come on. But here's the thing. That wasn't surprising to me considering like what I felt about the Admirals before. Like it was clear to me that these guys, they're built a little different. And commanders, they're cool, but for the most part, there's only a few that I think can really rock with the Admirals. So when that happened, it was cool. When Shanks did what he did to Greenbull, niggas was on my head, bro. Like, it was like, yo, what do you think now? Like, Greenbull is mid. Like, Shanks was able to do this to Greenbull, and the distance, and we talk about the observation killer and all that different stuff. What if Shanks, in the midst of being the observation killer, was able to somewhat pick up some of Mihawk's fucking insane observation abilities? Because
hockey through harsh combat, it evolves.
You see what I'm saying?
Continuously evolve each other. Yes,
because again, I can't defend Greenbull in this instance considering where Shanks was.
I can.
You say you can?
Yes, I can.
Okay, tell me your perspective.
Right? Because like beyond what was going on, he wasn't frozen because his arms changed position. Right. What he says is, I don't want to fight with you guys. So you fight with Shanks. You're fighting with his crew, right?
Yep.
So let's even argue, right? Let's say that Greenbull was stronger than Luffy or Shanks.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fight them plus their crews.
Yeah.
So let's say that Greenbull is indefinitely above Shanks. He's indefinitely above, Luffy. In the Ace Light novel, they literally say that the Yonkos are in a four-way deadlock. If one of them were to defeat each other, they would be they would be vulnerable to the next Yonko.
Yeah.
So Greenbull happens to even beat one person, their entire crew, not saying that he can, but hypothetically speaking, if he could, he would still be at a disadvantage to fight an entire another Yonko crew that's in the area.
No, it's a logical, like what he did. What I don't criticize what he did necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
It's how he did it.
Man.
You know what I mean? Like
the hands,
the shaking, the like, right? Like even Kizaru, when he put his hands up to Ben Beckman, it was kind of like, right? But it's like, it's Kizaru, so we kind of like, come on, bro. Because he started attacking right after that. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like we look at Greenbull, and it's kind of like, all right, if Fujitora was in that position, Fujitora doing the same thing? He's probably walking away, but is he doing it in that manner? For Kainu, he's walking away, but in that manner, no. Like Greenbull, it's almost like if he ran away with his tail between his legs.
Pretty much.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what people criticize as opposed to like, and even after
It was the macho talk too. The macho
yeah,
lead up.
exactly. He was talking his shit, right? He said, "Bro, you're commanders. You think you can hang with me?" You know what I'm saying? I was like, "Hold on." Greenbull?
The way he was doing the scabbers, I was like, man,
bro, he one shot, bro. He hit him like 2 of them twice, and they were in a coma for like 2 days, bro. It's crazy.
he could have beat all of them. A lot of people don't realize that, but like people were just like, oh, he just beat up King and Queen because they were injured. He literally says at the beginning of the chapter, "I gave you a warning.
I told him to chill."
You know what I'm saying? And that was the same with Greenbull. Even though he was talking all macho, he said, "If you just give me Straw Hat, I'll leave."
Yeah.
I'll leave. He was using them as an example. So when Momonosuke hit him, and this is what drew my attention to him, because he took one little tiny bud and rejuvenated from that entire pasture that he made. From that tiny bud, he completely rejuvenated.
So that means like as long as he has a bud in the area, or he can rejuvenate at any time.
Is you can't beat Mother Nature.
You can't
because
beat Mother
Nature. You have to drain all the nutrients from this island to defeat me, which is insane.
That would basically you'd have to somewhat have somebody with Shinobu's Devil Fruit be on Admiral caliber to do something to Greenbull. And even with the fact that he had an anti-fire ability, that was impressive, right?
Yo, what is that?
Right? That was very, very good. Now, a lot of people after Wano, again, people were like on my head because I said nothing changed for me. I still think Greenbull is top 12, right? Top 13. Shanks has always been top 3 at worst for me. That's what's kind of like supposed to happen. And even then, there was no actual physical contact and his Shanks' entire crew. Even when Greenbull showed up there and we didn't know Shanks was going to be there, I said, this isn't a good move. Because even fighting Luffy, who's Jesus at this point, fighting Zoro after everything he's gone through, Sanji with the upgrades, Law, Kid, Yap. I was like, okay, I don't know if there's anybody right now alive in One Piece that can walk into Wano and walk out unscathed.
Not a single person, unless it's maybe Blackbeard. That's it. And that would be the range of his Devil Fruit that he's capable of just attacking multiple opponents. He did smoke the remnants. He did smoke them when they poured it.
I mean, you know what I'm saying. Listen, I mean, that's tough because we assume Jozu had one arm, right? Losing Ace, losing Whitebeard. It's kind of like with Marco at the helm, and I think we kind of disrespect Blackbeard's crew as well, where we don't give them the respect they deserve. But
I don't think because Bob's Fruit's too much. I don't think he needs the crew, honestly speaking.
You think he can roll through the entire remnants by himself?
I think he can roll through the remnants. Let me ask you something. Do you feel like when Akainu stepped to the Whitebeard remnants that he was going to lose?
No.
In that panel of all the remnants staring at Akainu, you think he was going to lose? No. Listen,
I did not.
You add the Yami no Gi and Whitebeard Devil Fruit. Yeah. Bro.
Yeah, a lot of them are getting rolled.
Infinite gravity.
And now, bro, knowing that them other niggas had devil fruits too. Like with the sickness fruit and then the fucking warp fruit.
That's a lot.
Van Auger could literally warp someone into fucking Blackbeard's fist.
Really? Definitely can.
Oh my God. Yeah. You definitely get rolled.